Hi, I hope I have an audience. If not, if you're not watching, you can just type in and say, I'm not watching. This is my first live. I made sure to wear a nice, good suit, good shirt. And I don't know if anybody can hear me right now, but I'll just talk to myself because uh, it's the way it's been. Why break with tradition, right? Um, I'm looking at myself. Boy, um, this is a lot easier. I don't have the I don't feel the pressure of um, of getting. Of course, now the phone goes off. Hold on. However, I don't need to edit this. Oh, it's I'm gonna go away with that. All right, solicitor. They know just when to. They know just when to call, right? It's my first time. I've got, I guess, an end stream button down here, so I'll just know how to end the stream. Hopefully, I won't be like some other YouTubers that don't realize that they're still recording and they're still live, and then they go pick their nose or watch TV or something, and you get to watch basically for free. You get an extended play. But I created, all right, I created a little table of contents. Excuse me. And here I have a justification for not editing that stuff out because it's live. I wanted to talk about my channel and life update. So those of you who are watching later who didn't get to chime in and watch this live, wanted to remind you to like this live. I'll be putting this in the playlist. I'll be putting all these in the playlist. See, I had been, and I'll get to this later, but I have been reorganizing my channel. I'll try not to look at my video preview. It's distracting. I'll just look at the green light. I've been reorganizing my channel and my look, and I mean the look for the channel and where it's going and so forth. I have 4 playlists in mind. One of them is called a personal log, and so that I figure I could use these live chats for. I'll just, as long as they don't go past 12 hours, and believe me, some of you may be chuckling, I don't go that long, I don't talk that long. And that's part of the pressure. When I create these videos before using this live chat instrument, I felt the pressure of keeping the audience, audience's attention, the short attention span and all that. I know that I have a lot of information to convey, and it's a shame. I watch YouTube a lot, sometimes maybe too often, but I watch YouTube a lot. I see very good, talented videos with high production values. Mike Klum comes to mind simply because he did a documentary about Boogie 2988, and it's not a commentary on Boogie 2988, nor the commentary. I mean the documentary, the subject matter. But I've seen really well-produced documentaries. I want to produce those. I want to produce stuff that you'd see on television because I had watched television growing up, of course. And that's what I want. I wanted to aspire. I was aspiring to be a screenwriter and a scriptwriter, and I'm going to get into that shortly. But as long as I'm on the train of thought right now, I might as well stay on board. I want to produce higher quality videos, and I see these on YouTube. And then, of course, I also see a lot of just audio stuff, a lot of audio chat with video, because it's YouTube, you have to have a video, game playing or something like that. That's not my style. So something like this, a live chat between me and you, seems the best for blogging. And if you've watched my previous videos, you've probably noticed that I like to talk about myself a lot. I like to, well, the channel used to be called Introspection with Jeff. And that's what the channel was originally going to be about. And I started thinking of these other things I wanted to do in my life, like produce documentaries, mainly produce a lot of sitcoms. I came up with about like 22 different ideas for new TV series. It's not scripted, it's not something already created, something new and fresh. And I'd create the characters. I'd write a series Bible. It's known as a series Bible. And I create all the characters. I come up with a premise, and I type the stuff up. And it could also be called a pitch, a TV series pitch. And if I do that, see, I guess when I'm in front of not necessarily when I'm in front of a camera, when I do these YouTube videos, I guess I don't relax a lot. My shoulders up like this, clenched up like this, and I should be relaxing. I should be doing more of this stuff. And I see this YouTube channel as some avenue for my creative expression. I might as well go into my actual stuff here, because I'm trying to avoid getting into it. So let's just go through. If you like this video, if you like the topics that I talk about, like this video, please. And if you like the topics I talk about, please consider subscribing to my channel. I have right now 60 subscribers, and that means a lot. Even though I keep seeing these content creators with like 1.2 million subscribers and thousands of views and likes per video, and hopefully someday I'll be able to reach that status. But I'm happy and thankful to the subscribers that do watch, and I'm pleased that when I'm going through editing my videos, and I use ChatGPT to create the summaries and the titles and so forth. And this helped me. This channel has helped me in a number of ways, learning how to create YouTube videos, how to use ChatGPT, Google Workspace. Here I'm giving like a resume, future resume for some employer, hopefully. But it's a creative outlet. I'm going to get into this soon. What I'm going to say is about a friend of mine. But this contains all the burps and the hiccups and the all the air that builds up under stress. So I'm yawning. It relieves tension. Okay, all right. I don't have to fit this in within 10 minutes. I'm happier. In fact, there's that symbol, that this gesture that means stretch it out, stretch it out. So I'm not seeing anybody chatting yet. Learn more. Okay. I'll just continue. Is anybody watching right now? If somebody's watching, please type something in the chat, like why don't you pick your nose, or something, or how dark my video looks. Does my video look dark? I got this green screen back there so that I can put it up behind me and literally use it as a green screen, so that I can put up overlays, like later in post-production, I can put in videos around. And I can mention a few YouTubers. You've probably recognized some others who put in, like, especially if you're watching TikTok, they put, or YouTube Shorts, maybe they will use, they will point, and there'll be a screen around. They'll be pasted. They will be superimposed over a screen. So this is my cheap way, my novice way of doing it. not naive, my fledgling plebe way of setting up a YouTube channel. So let me start off with, oh, I've also got to come up with some kind of opening and closing for my videos. In the past, I've just said, welcome. If this is the first time, thanks. Also welcome if you've been here before. It sounds lame, frankly. I need to come up with something punchier. The successful content creators have some kind of opening, familiar opening, and some familiar closing. Yeah, my face is kind of red. I've been shaving in preparation for my Halloween party tomorrow. So I know there's probably a booger up my nose, and hair is a little out of place, and but you can all post that stuff. It'll create more commentary for me, comments for me for my videos anyway once I post them. But I wanted to talk about my background creatively, and I wanted to explain more about why I created this channel to begin with. I'm about to reach age 50. I'll be age 50 in November, mid-November. I might as well just say November 14th. I don't want to dox myself, but I don't think that's really doxing. My name is Jeff, November 14th, 1975. So about, let me see, I remember drawing. I enjoyed drawing a lot. I enjoyed movies and television. I enjoyed Sesame Street. And I didn't really watch Mr. Rogers all that much, but I remember Sesame Street. I remember The Muppet Show, and going to the movies around 84. See, I moved, and then I moved to a certain apartment complex with my mom, and that's really when I started watching movies. I enjoyed Star Wars. Well, I enjoyed Return of the Jedi. That was my first Star Wars movie. And I love the special effects. I'd read. See, this is more like the way I want to be. I want to portray myself. I'm very jovial and funny. I think I'm funny. And not in a weird way. Anyway, I tend to go off on tangents. That's also something I better work on. I've been a Mason, and somebody in the lodge suggested that I go to join Toastmasters, and I did. And it's, of course, that's been a number of years ago, but I tried not to say a lot of times, just really, really hard. Anyway, so Star Wars was my first movie. I think, well, it's the earliest one I recall seeing in the movie theater. I had seen The Sound of Music before that, and probably other things before that on TV. But I was really enthralled with Return of the Jedi, and I enjoyed reading books and watching documentaries on TV about back when they had like 3 channels and public PBS station. They would have documentaries on the special effects, and I love that. And then that was 83, and then 84, I watched several movies. Not Ghostbusters. Gremlin. I would later watch Ghostbusters, but Gremlins, and let me see, Gremlins, Supergirl, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. 2010, I hadn't seen 2001, but I just felt intrigued by 2010. Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. And then later, like a week later on TV, then I saw Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. And my mom said that I didn't express as much shock or fear or whatever at the end of Star Trek 2 because I had already seen Star Trek 3, and there's a huge cliffhanger at the end of 2 that whatever it was, I had seen it out of order. So she ascribed that to my lack of shock, really, to having seen 3 before 2. And I may be skipping out some. I don't think so. I think those were the primary movies I had seen in 1984. And then I was all involved in Transformers. A friend introduced me to Transformers, and I was still watching creative television. I like fantasy and science fiction especially. I watch sitcoms like Different Strokes and Silver Spoons and so forth. It was all, if you want to watch my part of my mind, it would be a flush of Silver Spoons, later on the Charmings and Different Strokes and Facts of Life and yeah, That's Incredible and Alf, and it was just a flurry of all that stuff. And of course, there's somebody's calling. All right. Okay. All right. So there we go. Okay. So hopefully he's not playing a trick on me and watching this channel and just doing that. Anyway, to distract me. But anyway, I better. Hold on. All right. There. Good. All right. So he's hung up. So it was a flush of all. It would be flush of all these different things that had inspired me to write. My mom said that I had been very communicative verbally, and I related to people socially on somewhat a mature level. When I was a toddler, she said I would crawl in, so you can tell about what age I was. When All in the Family would come on the air, I wouldn't just sit in front of the like a couch potato in front of the TV. I would be actively doing something else, and then crawl in and sit down, or just crawl in and start watching. And she said that I would laugh at the appropriate moments. I don't know whether it was just like a, what do you call it, Pavlov's dog. I don't know whether I was actually laughing and understanding. I probably was to some extent laughing at it. And then when it was done, I wouldn't just sit there. I'm proud of that. I wouldn't just sit there and just vegetate like some adults. I would go back to what I was doing. And my mom and dad, from what my mom and dad have both told me, I began gesturing, I began speaking, and my dad was all excited, and he got these blocks and with these letter blocks, and I would start communicating with the letter blocks, and there was no space block. So my mom said that when it came time for me to start writing, I didn't leave spaces in my words when I would write. Of course, I don't have any memory of this, but it sounds like my precocious self. And so I had an aptitude and a talent for writing. Feels like I want to justify my whole talent, and it's been very frustrating not to be able to put this to fruition. Calm down. At least I have a lot to say. It's just tense. Just right here, it just wells up, and stress and so forth. Need to relax. So I had to learn how to break my words up, letters up into words. So I remember in elementary school, I was writing stories on my own, and I would continue to draw. I love to draw. And by about 5th grade, I was drawing at a visual level, like you could make out a face. It wasn't just a circle with dots or something. I could make out character. I would draw the ear, and I would draw the little lines in the ear and the jaw line and going up. And I still have a lot of my drawings, the mouth, the lips. I would draw that. It may have been like amateurish now, but it was a straight face. It was recognizable. And that was when I was in 4th grade or 5th, something like, maybe 3rd grade, maybe. But I was getting better over time. And so let me see. I like to draw draw models, especially like toys, or like, for example, something like this. I would put it on a table and I would just see the geometric shapes. Like I can see this highlight line right here, and then the top, the angles, the line, the angle lines, and so forth. And I would just draw the shape and I would fill in the detail. So I think that was pretty mature and precocious for fifth grade. So I was all set and happy, and um, I don't think I had planned to go into television career wise. I just enjoyed watching TV, and this is what I was getting at before with the dysphoria. Everybody else is talking about dysphoria. This dysphoria career wise between what I want to do, what I have the aptitude and the skill for, and the talent for, and what I'm stuck doing, what the jobs have been that have been available around me. It's like I'm playing a part of somebody, like I'm playing pretend, and it's a 9 to 5 job, and I'm so sick of that. So let me see, elementary school, middle school. I remember beginning. Oh, and I become an interest in Star Trek by that point. In fifth grade, second half of fifth grade, and then into sixth grade, they had Star Trek: The Next Generation premiered, and by that point, I had absorbed everything I possibly could that was out there about Star Trek. So let me see. I had written a short script. It was professional, as professional as I was as a child. It was short as a few pages, but it was called The Dead Space Scrolls. And I have it. I didn't include it in my creative works text that you can buy on Amazon. I do have a book it's a short book, but I do have a book on Amazon if you want to go there and buy it. Yeah, plug. I I made sure not to include anything in that book that was that had IP, intellectual property, that I didn't own. So I didn't include the Transformers novella. That's right. About that same time, seventh grade, I was writing a novella as a gift to a best friend of mine, and I was doing a bunch of stuff alongside studying for my bar mitzvah, and a whole bunch of stuff. And I started on a second novella while I was writing the first, and was very, very creative. And I was drawing and I was writing. And also, anyway, back to the Dead Space Scrolls. So seventh grade, I'd written this short script. It wasn't exactly in the format. It was in the format that I had learned at that time. But soon I had read books. Star Trek had helped me a lot in terms of learning about television production. So I learned the format page of a script, the format of a script page. I learned where the name goes at the top, and then you have a certain amount of space for the dialogue, and then longer space for description and so forth, and character cues and so forth. It was really fun. I don't need, here in this live video, I get to talk about it more freely. So I'll try to cut down, I'll try to make it organized, but I can be able to do more of a stream of consciousness, which makes me feel more comfortable. Nobody's chatting yet, darn it. Anyway, that's okay. I'll just keep talking. Do I need to do anything? Ooh, I can share the screen. I hope there's no settings thing I needed to put in. But anyway, okay, I'll just keep talking. So I trust YouTube Studio knows what it's doing, and it wouldn't force me to have to. It wouldn't force me to have to activate something in order to allow people to start typing. Maybe that friend was trying to tell me something. Check here. I know this looks really fascinating. I'm sure. Here, I'm just gonna check something. There's no podcasts. Yeah, there's no. Okay. All right. I'll presume nobody's talking yet, and I don't want to suddenly play a voice thing, play somebody's voice and dox them. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay. So where was I? So I had I'd written it. I was proud, and my mom was proud, and I presented it. Oh, I wrote some other story sometime in 7th grade or 8th grade. I think it was 7th grade. In my Sunday school class, and that was a different story. And I just continued writing. And in high school, I definitely was thinking of moving. In fact, it would have been probably freshman year, because I remember I went to a camp, a religious camp, for probably, was it a week? It's probably a weekend, I think. If I'm not mixing myself up, it was probably then. So it was probably like 1990, maybe before going into high school, somewhere around there. I remember at that time I was either reading a book about theoretical physics and luxons and tachyons and bradyons, or I was thinking, I associate that with thinking about moving to Los Angeles. And certainly freshman year, I'm pretty confident I had in mind moving to Los Angeles after high school. And that goes to the other experience I've had in school. Now, outside of school, I was really happy. I was jovial, and I had friends out of school, and I would talk like what feels like hours with one of my best friends. I had a best friend in this school, and then I stayed in touch with a previous best friend from the other school I moved from, the other elementary school, the earlier one I moved from. And I'm really proud of the best friend. If you're watching this, if you know who you are, I'm really proud of you for having continued and not changing and losing your curiosity and the curiosity. I don't want to say the childhood curiosity. I want to say the curiosity that we both had as children, and we both still have, clearly. And I could talk with him about stuff that we enjoyed as kids, and also just change and talk about something in modern life. And I'm confident he's been able to do that. And I feel fortunate, frankly, to have a best friend who's still able to do that, who hadn't abandoned anything. So anyway, I should have gotten some drink or water or something. Actually, right here, best time to finish up. Some other YouTube content creator says, hydrate yourself. So that's what's left. By the way, I wasn't paid for this plug, but I got this at Wegmans. And the reason why it's dark like this is because, so you can see the inside. It's not dirt nor grime. It's just, whoops, there goes my keyboard. I just spilled water. But I did the smart move of first putting water in it, and I had these green tea bags, and I remember it's a popular, I can't remember what the tea, it doesn't matter, but I had a box of individual tea bags, and I thought, I'm going to flavor my water, because how tasty, frankly, is water, really? To me, it's not that tasty. So I'm going to just do this carefully so I don't damage anything. I don't think if anything, it probably, either fried the keyboard or washed the keyboard. Who knows? But I think I just hit the keys. Anyway, all right. So I sacrificed my keyboard and probably future videos to be able to show you that. But so I still have yet to clean out the green tea, a little green tea dust from that, no matter how many times I wash it out. So anyway, where was I? So at that point, yeah, outside of school, I was fine. I was played with other kids, and I watched TV, and I was very active. I was active in Boy Scouts and so forth. But in school, starting with about elementary school, there's this little ostracization that kicked in, and by high school age, I figured it wasn't that I was above them. I might as well just keep this phone right near me. It wasn't that I felt that I was above them. It's just that I felt that there was no real communication, and they would like mock me. Like if two of them are sitting together, they'd say, "Look who's behind you," and I still remember that. I know I'm not the only one, but I thought that I was so further that the rest of my life outside of school was so full and enriching, and I had goals, and I was working on projects, and so there was no deadline. I just worked at my own steady pace. That I didn't really socialize in school. I was polite and I was happy, but I kind of felt on guard when somebody, especially somebody I didn't know, like somebody who hadn't been friendly before, like part of the clique or something would come over. I would kind of be on guard mentally, and so I didn't date. I did not date in school. Frankly, I didn't think that women would be attracted to me. So it's not that I felt I was better than anybody else. I just was focused on my own path, and I didn't. Too many people made fun of me that I just didn't want to keep engaging in it. So anyway, outside of school, I figured that I would progress and would make me really happy to work as a television writer. And at that time, I discovered the Dick Van Dyke Show. It's a sitcom from the 1960s. By the way, aside from the 1980s, the 1960s are my favorite time for television, and some movies as well, but primarily television. You had Get Smart, you had Star Trek, you had Dragnet. It was a burst of creative fervor. One decade, Get Smart, I Dream of Jeannie, Get Smart, I Dream of Jeannie, Bewitched, Star Trek, F Troop. What else is there? Dragnet, and these are big hits that are memorialized. I mean, they're fondly remembered now, and the list goes on and on. And only 3 channels too, right? So that's the path that I wanted to go in. I enjoyed those shows, and I enjoyed the 1980s shows too, and those influenced me to write television shows. I knew from writing television, or from reading about. See, I need more water again. Darn it! I'm not going to base myself and lick the keyboard. See, I'm more lively now. It's my sense of humor. Anyway, aside from saying a lot of times, I bet you're thinking, I wish I had a nickel for every time he says So anyway, I'm going to move my cursor away from end stream bravely, and I'm just going to continue talking. So I was wondering how many of you are streamers yourself, or YouTube content creators yourself. Obviously, you need some kind of YouTube account in order to be watching something like this, or even chatting in, hint, 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 responding. But anyway, so let me see. So I just had my career goal set on writing for television. From what I had read, you write for another TV show. And then at some point, when you have enough brownie points, when you have enough experience, you can start pitching TV shows of your own. And that's what I had in mind. And I remember I'm Jewish, and I haven't seen Jewish families represented well, if at all, really, on television. And I enjoyed the Dick Van Dyke Show. And I remember having an idea. As a matter of fact, it was when I was in synagogue. I remember thinking up wanting to do some TV show later in life, create one regular Jewish family, but introduce Jewish themes and lifestyle bits that I'm sure would be educational to the mainstream non-Jewish public. And I just wanted to see them I wanted Judaism, represent Jewish families represented on television. Oddly enough, if you watch the Goldbergs, which is early, I don't mean the new series called the Goldbergs. I mean way, 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 way back. There was, I think, 1940, 50, something or other. There was a TV series called The Goldbergs. And I don't remember, I know somebody out, not Myrna Loy. It's a brain fart. One of my friends I know remembers this person's name. She was an actress. She was a very recognizable actress. I'm just blanking on her name at the moment. She was kind of older age and a little chubby, cheeks were sort of chubby. And the name was something like Myrna Loy, and I'm blanking on Olive Olivia something. I can't remember the name. But oddly enough, a lot of TV shows at that time were written by Jews. And it's funny. They would write, I'm just imagining like Jewish writers writing, the Christmas episode of this and what a holly jolly Christmas time for Dennis the Menace. And meanwhile, the writers were Jewish. And it's just weird. And even in Sanford and Son, they poked fun at this. They had an inside joke episode, actually. If you watch Sanford and Son, you'd see it was created by, I think it was Bernie Turtlebaum and somebody else, and a large Jewish back behind the scenes production staff. I think it was, I don't know if it was huge, but the creators were certainly Jewish. And they did a Sanford and Son episode where Sanford and his son, Lamont, were invited to watch this, what turned out to be a new but short-lived TV show within the scope of this episode, where these Jewish characters were based on the real life of Sanford and Lamont and the characters, the neighborhood. So it's kind of an inside joke. I like that. So you have these Jewish writers behind the scenes. I'm very proud of that. But on screen, you have very vanilla white Christian WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant TV shows. Not that they preach Christianity or whatever. It's just that very wholesome, very white, vanilla, mainstream. And it kind of, I guess, went with the culture because baby boom, you have Jews and other immigrant cultures immigrating in and trying to assimilate, because the big thing at the time, I wasn't alive then, was to assimilate. And if you didn't know already, Superman was created by two Jews in 1938. And, well, actually sort of created earlier, but the premiered, the Superman character premiered to the world in 1938. And I see Superman distinctly as an immigrant. I don't know how many people catch that. I see these Superman movies come out now, or Man of Steel movies or whatever, and I don't think they're really catching the gist of Superman. Like, they get Batman instantly. Like Batman, it's a tragic story of somebody whose parents were removed from life, and and he has to grow up and so forth, and he takes vengeance, and he's like he's a vigilante. Well, before Batman, there was Superman as the vigilante, and he wasn't the clean-cut Eagle Scout type figure, do-gooder that later came in, I guess, maybe the 50s and 60s. Even Batman became more of a do-gooder in the 60s. That's why it was such a thrill when, I don't remember his name, but somebody came in and reprised the Dark Knight aspect of Batman, and I was really happy with that. I remember the 1989 movie with Jack Nicholson and Tim Burton and Michael Keaton brought back the Dark Knight aspect. Because when you create a show, when you create anything, I suspect inherently the original creator puts his genetic, hopefully if he's doing it skillfully, he puts his genetic fingerprints on the creation itself. So if you go back and you read the earlier Superman comics from the basically 1940s, you see a character created by two Jews, and these are Jews, these are immigrants, like either they immigrated or I think their family, their parents immigrated, something like that. There's a sense that they're outside the mainstream and they need to assimilate, just like Kal-El, and then his Earth name is Clark Kent, had to assimilate, and then when he saves and rescues people, he is a Superman, but he's Kal-El and his Earth name is Clark Kent. So he's an immigrant, standing up for the underprivileged and minorities and so forth. See, woke culture goes way back, I think. In a healthy way, yeah, a healthy woke culture is healthy. Well, that sounds redundant, doesn't it? A pure, well-intentioned, sincerely intentioned woke culture is healthy for society. What does it mean? It means you're treating each other as you would want to be treated. It's the golden rule. It's shared experiences. It's creating opportunities for people who don't otherwise have opportunities. It's stuff like that. So to me, that's what Superman is, and you can see it in the Superman origin story. Although the Christopher Reeve Superman. Notice I say Christopher Reeve, not Reeves. People make that mistake. George Reeves played the character in the TV series in the 1950s, and then, even though it was in color in the 1950s, it was rare. And then Christopher Reeve played Superman in the 78, 82, 80s movies. And so then there was an injection of Christian themes put in because of the director, people behind the scenes. But if you go back, you have a story about a planet that's doomed for destruction, imminent destruction. Their parents, the Superman's parents, put him in a capsule, a traveling vessel, and launches him as a baby, launches him with hope towards the vastness of space. It floats through space, lands on Earth, and he's found as a baby by two parents, and they give him an Earth name, and they raise him as their son. And so you think of Moses, and he comes from a group a Hebrew group of Hebrews or Israelites who were in danger of being eliminated. When has that ever else have happened to Jews? And then he's, with hope, he's put into a vessel. He's launched on the river or down the river. Launched on the river, travels down the river or across the river, and found by I think it was found by a princess found by some woman who is either the Pharaoh's daughter or is taken to the Pharaoh's daughter. Anyway, it goes to the Pharaoh's daughter. Pharaoh's daughter raises Moses, baby Moses, up as her son and so forth. If I recall, I think that's how it goes. Those rabbis in the audience, please text me, comment. Anyway, I see a definite parallel. And so you have Superman sticking up for the underprivileged, the downtrodden, and so forth. And especially early on, this is before Lex Luthor and Mxyzptlk and the Joker. Well, that's Batman, but this is before superpowered villains came in. You had crimes like landlord taking advantage of the rent or something or other, or you had like the mafia, maybe the mafia. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, like stuff that you would see, villains you would see more likely in Dick Tracy. And this was like a super Dick Tracy with superpowers and so forth. So, wow, I got off on a tangent, didn't I? I told you. So anyway, so I wanted to create TV shows. One thing was a Dick Van Dyke Show sitcom type, but with Jewish characters as a family. And I started watching Get Smart. I enjoyed that. And I thought of a sequel series called Stay Smart. This is before they came out with a short-lived TV show with Andy Dick. And I can't remember who the other one, although she's attractive, I can't remember the female lead. But in the TV series of Get Smart, they had twins born. Maxwell Smart discovers that his wife gave birth to twins. So I figured it makes sense, have these twins grow up. This was about 30 years after the TV series. So as I'm eager to go into television and production and so forth, I was already thinking up these ideas, have them grown up and retain retain that same aspect that made those same traits that made the original show so fun and enjoyable. See, I had that in my mind. I'm thinking somebody's going to use this in the wrong way, but anyway, take a screenshot. But anyway, as long as you give me proper credit. Anyway, so I knew enough then to catch on to what's so enjoyable about these TV shows. And I feel like I want to say I was more in touch with that than I am with maybe some executives now who just acquire intellectual property and this is really a pet peeve of mine. Intellectual property, they just buy it and they just keep rehashing the same stuff over and over. I remember, I don't think it was Alien. I think it was Terminator. There was a movie like Terminator Resurrection or Terminator something or other. And I just thought it'd be funny to make a title Terminator Regurgitation, because that's all you really see. Well, I don't want to say that's all, but a lot of times, sadly, too many times, put it safely that way, they just rehash the same stuff. That's what I like about Star Trek. It was very different. Each week, each episode is very different from the previous, even though you're staying with the same family crew, crew members as family. Very different episodes types. One could be a detective show or detective episode. One could be, mystery. One could be all sorts of different things and different science fiction concepts, high concepts and so forth. I don't want to go off on that tangent, but I was thinking enough about the production of a show as well as enjoying the show itself, the storylines themselves, to realize that, to recognize that. So I better get going with the rest here. So I'm about 49 minutes in, so maybe halfway. If this is going to be 90 minutes. So let me see. So I had plans to go to college. Or go to Los Angeles. I didn't have the money, sadly. This is when reality started to kick in. Fortunately, I was able to go locally to a university, a good school, a good university. and do a double major, or somebody called it dual major. I don't know if there's any difference, but I think my mom emphasized call it dual major. But anyway, I was majoring in two different things. I was majoring in political science and television, radio, and film. And I excelled. I did very well. And yet I wanted to go even further. I wanted to be in Los Angeles. I wanted so badly to write screenplays. By this point, I skipped over something. I was writing TV show spec scripts. If you don't know what a spec script is, it's short for speculative script. It's a script you write as an example of a TV show, of a TV episode. Speculative, meaning that you're writing it on speculation, and some producer may read it. It's like a calling card. It's an example of your work, in some sense like a resume. It's an example of your work. It's like if you were a carpenter and you constructed a drawer or something, and you wanted to show it off to various people, hoping that they will hire you or speak about you and get your name, spread your name around, spread the quality of your work around, something like that. So the industry term for it is spec script. So not knowing any better, I would write a spec script of, for example, Star Trek, and I would send it to the Star Trek producers. Later on, I knew I was not in Los Angeles. I was trying to get a literary agent to represent me, because they really don't open stuff unsolicited, meaning you need to get an agent, a literary agent, who would agree to read your work. And it's basically the key word is gatekeeping. Like on purpose. I mean, they practically call it gatekeeping, but there is a method to it. There's a rationale to it. They don't want to get like a 10-year-old sending in a script and then about how that totally wouldn't fit their show, and then they have to send it back, and they have to deal with legal ramifications, like if they happen to create a show, and I know people have been burned before, but they create an episode later on that bears some similarity to something somebody sent in. They'd be concerned that the person who sent it in would sue them. Hey, you read my thing, give me credit. Like, for example, oh, wow. Well, Star Trek was one of the few that did accept stuff from fans, and I'll give a shout. He doesn't need a shout out, but I respect him a lot anyway. I'll give him a shout out here. He doesn't need one, meaning he's gotten a lot of fame elsewhere aside from me. But David Gerald got his start really by that. He was, you can read his book called The Trouble with Tribbles. It's about the making of the particular episode he wrote called The Trouble with Tribbles. And this was in the 1960s show, and he had been acting in theater, and he enjoyed this new show, and he was a science fiction writer enthusiast already. And I remember he said, well, he writes in his book, in this chapter, well, I hope they don't turn this into a Monster of the Week show, whatever. If you want something done right, you're going to do it yourself. I'm paraphrasing. I think he said, if you want something done right, and starts typing away. It shows a funny illustration of him typing away. He had really funny illustrations in that book. But so he writes the episode, and fortunately he was in Los Angeles, or near Los Angeles, enough to travel there and meet with Gene Roddenberry, who was the creative executive producer, the big head honcho, one who calls the shots ultimately. And so it was really nice that Star Trek, my favorite show, accepted scripts like that. Unfortunately, not every show does that. And even into the 1990s, early 90s, when they had Star Trek The Next Generation, they were still accepting shows. And there was one called Yesterday's Enterprise. Eric Stilwell, wrote a book about the episode Yesterday's Enterprise, in which he wrote something like what happened in the final episode, and then it was taken and they worked with it, and evidently somebody else was working on the same idea, and they produced it, and he went on into the industry. But that's another good example of an episode about something inspired by something in the Star Trek universe already established, sort of. In the Next Generation, there's a fourth Enterprise, and you haven't seen the earlier Enterprise ships. Well, inevitably, in their series Bible, their series guide to new writers, they say, please don't use this, and this. Please don't use please don't write a script about Dr. Crusher's dead husband. Please don't include an episode about the earlier Enterprise starship. Please don't do this and this. We're developing those ourselves, really for fear, frankly, that like 500 people will write scripts and send them in, and then lo and behold, Star Trek produces its own episode about Dr. Crusher's deceased husband, and got 400 something, maybe 504 people writing in and saying, I want to sue you. You used my idea. No. We didn't even know about your idea, blah, blah. So there's a whole legal rigmarole. So legal problem. So they clammed up after a while. And I'm sure by Deep Space Nine, they weren't accepting outside scripts. But anyway, they started closing down. But other production companies were doing that already. So it's very difficult. So like a naive person I was creating a Star Trek spec script and sending it to the producers of Star Trek. And I was writing a Spin City episode and two-parter and sending it to the Spin City production staff, not having the later advice I gained that you should write a spec script of someone else's show, not the show that you're sending it to, whom you're sending it. So in college, I turned that Spin City spec script into a two-part pilot for my own TV series, and I can get into that in other videos and so forth. But I just wanted to say that was a time when I started creating my own ideas for TV shows during college, and I had begun a movie about UFOs, a screenplay about UFOs, an earlier one towards the end, midway through high school, a movie about mermaids, and because I was attracted to mermaids, I still am. And I was listening to a Larry King interview, who was interviewing Rosanna Arquette, and I'd never seen Rosanna Arquette before, but she had such a cute voice, and I just imagined her. I kind of cast her as this mermaid in this movie that I was writing. So, so reality hit after college, and it's a struggle. It's just a struggle because I didn't have a car, and I was living with my mom, and she was not well off financially, and it was just a huge struggle. And I'm not in a big city, and it's that dysmorphia that just kicked in shortly over time. I felt like I was made for something better, to quote the newer 2009 Star Trek movie. So what else? So I put down develop. So yeah. So as a creative outlet, while I'm working on these scripts, and there's one for Madonna. The end of college, I wrote a Madonna movie, and I submitted it for class credit, and got a high grade on it. I think it was A+ or something. But what I really wanted to do was, I'd already developed a crush, celebrity crush, secret crush, of course, on Madonna, and she was filling a hole, like a gap or a void left over from the end of high school, and I won't go into that, but it's one of those things, you have a crush on somebody and you want to develop something and it doesn't work out. So and people are moving away. So I was left with that void, and I tried to fill it with online dating, and Jewish, and I can't find anybody closer than the biggest city, which was 4 hours away or something. Just I couldn't find anybody. And they didn't want long distance relationships. Da 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 da. So over time, like over a couple of years, I developed, well, actually a year, because I wrote an earlier funny satire of Madonna's marriage to Sean Penn, and I remember that. And so by that point, I already had a crush on her, and I thought we could be friends together, and so or just share like my creative side and her creative side. So let me see. So I wrote the screenplay and been developing it, and at the end of college I got a good grade on it, and I hoped that I sent it to Creative Artists Agency, CAA, which is the big leagues, like I know other companies, agencies come in. First of all, they represented Madonna. Her agent would be there, and it's also the big leagues. It's like the New York Yankees of artistic representation. I was going to say artist representation, but artist representation, writers representation. So, I meanwhile got a job out of state, and I was really thrilled. It only lasted a month. I couldn't really, didn't have enough money for food, so I would go literally several days without eating anything, and I would just drink water. And it wasn't really good for my health, and I was having stomach pains and so forth. So I lost the job, and I came back to my hometown, small hometown, and then I got a letter back from CAA saying, thank you, we're not interested in your script. And I still have the letter, and I continued working on it and going back and trying to learn how to work on making it better, because I knew I was in competition. I've talked about this before. You can look at my playlists and so forth. So I continued. As I continued, my mom and I moved, and I finally lived on the second floor. I finally got a second floor, and she was more bed bound. She was less agile, less motive. And she had a sharp, she had a sharp sense with her all along, right up until her death. But I've talked about this in other videos. By that point, I just started like playing with cosplay, like cosplay as a woman. I didn't want to become a woman. I was curious. So what egged that on, let me see. I don't want to jump ahead and be anachronistic and screw up the timeline. So I was playing around a little, like just like dressing up and just like learning a little bit about how makeup works and so forth. And then my mom died, and I moved, and then I was struggling and for work, and I really had to get a job. And I was in a smaller place than I had been before, a studio apartment, and I was really struggling for work. And then I got a therapist, because why did I get a therapist? Well, I would remember this hole in my heart that I was talking about. Sorry. Well, this hole in my heart. Well, I would ask friends and acquaintances, really, well, both friends and acquaintances, to help explain to me what went wrong. I was trying to be as objective as possible and talk like, this is what I went through. I don't understand. I'm sorry. I don't know what went wrong. And like my point of view and the other person's point of view. So they were really no help. I mean, sometimes I would get some comfort a little bit, but it was distressing. So I figured, and I'm still living in the studio apartment. Now I'm living in a 1-bedroom apartment. So as you can tell by the auspicious or Spartan atmosphere. But anyway, I was living in a studio apartment, and I figured, all right, I'm going to pay somebody, a professional, to actually listen to me and talk through and so forth. So I was brave. I mean, I just wanted answers and I wanted to talk through the problem. So this pull in my heart, basically. So um, this therapist, I would talk about other things and this dysmorphia I had, not working in the television or film industry, not being creative, so forth, and needing just a 9 to 5 job, just something. So I explained to her my finances, and she arranged with somebody she knew from a large car dealership. And I didn't have a car, and that was really, really distressing me. I mean, it distressed me more that I couldn't find a job, but I really couldn't get work without a car. So um, I've been financing this car, and it's a decent, nice car, and I'm proud of it. And if anybody from school, well, frankly, anybody from school is watching, I'm really proud that I do have a car. And I'd like to say that that kid that you saw in school, my perception was that you were either looking down on me or you didn't really think I was capable of much and so forth. Well, I got a car and I am succeeding. I am achieving as much as I can. It's funny, about the same time, I was getting some messages just offhand from past classmates that, oh, you're smart. Oh, yeah, you were really smart. Or I wish I had known you better or something. And I wish they had said that to me in high school. You can't go back in time though, but anyway, so I got a car, and about that time, I had seen America's Got Talent, and I had seen this drag queen that looked amazing, and I had started going on YouTube, and about that time, roughly, I was looking at female impersonators, and they looked so realistic, and it awakened something in me, like I want to be more creative. Okay, I'll just rush forward. I've talked about this elsewhere. So I started developing and improving and improving and improving, looking better and better. And then at some point, I did my feminine voice practices, and I realized that, hey, I can, these are probably the same exercises that professional singers do. So I thought, gee, I've been writing a lot. I had written poetry in my senior year, and it was for somebody, well, it didn't really go anywhere. I didn't have any avenue really for poetry. So maybe I can write and perform music as this alter ego. And I thought of Pee Wee Herman and Paul Rubens doing it for creating Pee Wee Herman, and Cassandra Peterson creating Elvira, and so forth. So, and to some extent, female professional singers create a professional entertainment side of themselves anyway. So, and first of all, I enjoyed stage illusions, David Copperfield, and not just card tricks, not that they're simple, but I like the large stage illusions. I liked how physics seemed to be broken by these illusionists. So I saw it as that too. I wanted to see how close can I get, because I was seeing these amazing female impersonators on TV, and I would watch videos on YouTube, Donahue and Sally Jesse Raphael and so forth. And there was one entertainer who couldn't get a singing job himself, and partly because of his high voice, feminine sounding voice that he couldn't help. He just had this feminine sounding voice. And so these producers came, and this is in the 1980s, offered him, hey, why don't you do something like gender bending? And rather than go gender bending, he created this persona and just developed it into a female alter ego. And this is more like what I'm going for, although I'm going for the retro 1980s format, but that's what that like, he's this like role model, one of my role models. I like, as he said, he would, in an interview on Sally Jesse Raphael, he just slips into the mainstream, and in the performance, like as a performer, he slips into the mainstream at the concert, or whatever venue he's singing in. And if people are not paying attention, or they don't know to look, he's fooled a lot of people. So again, I wanted to see how well I could do it. So see, I'm doing this, so I can't edit myself. It's live. I'm filtering myself internally though. I'm being careful about what I say, but I really, and I saw these like Marilyn Monroe impersonators and Cher impersonators, and really amazing ones. And so I created this YouTube channel. I must have already been doing it by that point. I was sharing, because I remember I was sharing it with a friend, my alter ego with a friend, and she was amazed. And she said, like, she doesn't normally give compliments like that. I remember that. And so that gave me confidence. That really meant something, because unlike other people who, there's this zeitgeist. People are all mixed up now in terms of the rainbow, the LGBT, and I don't mean to demean anybody here. Let me just explain myself. LGBTQI, something on and all letters all strung together. At some point, I feel that it's more like a concept rather than individual names, individual types. Like, and it's weird because you're combining together a lot of different motivations together in this long stream, multi-letter stream word. I want to write a book about that. I started planning a book about that. I want to write more books. That's another thing I had in mind here for this channel, but I want to write more books. I want to write that there are different motivations for overall cross-dressing. And I don't even like to call it cross-dressing. I call it cross-dressing overall because, and I lump several different motivations together into cross-dressing, because technically that's what you're doing. You are dressing as the opposite gender, opposite sex. So, so there are different motivations. There is one it kind of splits. There is one motivation that's what I call body dysmorphia. And I'm not saying I have all these things. I'm just saying from what I've observed in society and culture, there's one motivation that's body dysmorphia. You feel like you're in the wrong body. Personally, I think that based on a theory that somebody has, it was in Dramatica, actually, one of the co-creators of Dramatica, who actually underwent a sex change operation, taking hormones and so forth. What she surmised is something that makes sense. What I think is that at some point we start off as female in the womb, and then I hope this is YouTube friendly, but we start off in the womb as female, and then testosterone flushes, get flushed with testosterone, and then some mutate into, and I really do say mutate into men, like, XX becomes XY. And I'm guessing that for those who feel actual true dysmorphia, there's no psychological issue or reason, like they have a bad impression of men or bad impression of women, or no role model, lack of role models or positive role models or whatever. Not talking about that. I mean, they actually feel uncomfortable in the body. And not talking about, like, because I know especially when puberty hits, women could feel uncomfortable and they get, hit on and so forth. Girls get hit on. So I'm not talking about that. Just uncomfortable in their body, like they were born in the wrong body. That maybe it's off kilter, this infusion. They didn't get enough of the testosterone, or they didn't go through enough of the proper way to be born in the so the body forms, but the mind the mind doesn't catch up with um, the rest of the body. So it's easier for me to think of this in terms of um, boys who, let me see, I guess females who think that they're in the wrong body, they think that they're boys in the wrong body. They would have gotten maybe a little, like more than the testosterone they should have had. And that might alter the brain, the type of brain, because in Dramatica Theory, part of it, and this is held up a lot, Dramatica Theory, that there are two ways of interpreting problems or interpreting situations. There's the holistic and there's the linear. And sometimes, well, in the first version they had for the theory, they called it, does the character in this movie or the story tend to think like a man or think like a woman? And then it became, from what I've read, it became all confusing, because you could have, like in the X-Files, Fox Mulder has a holistic, he thinks like a woman, and Dana Scully thinks like a man in this kind of problem-solving aspect of Dramatica. And it was confusing. So they just, the theory developers changed that, and they went with, I can't remember, they came up with two other names, and then those were confusing. They didn't really match. So they came up with a third, which I think kind of fits with what the point of that premise aspect of the theory, that trait really encapsulates. It's not male or female necessarily, it's holistic and linear. So, all right, so back to this. So, so the mind might be, if there's no problem, if there's no what I would call genetic issue or development issue in the womb and so forth, for the most part, and using this theory, an XX, a fetus with XX would then develop and not mutate into XY, and then develop a holistic. The mind would be programmed sort of, to have more of a holistic approach to things. Not to say, and I should put a disclaimer to say, in the theory itself, it's mixed. You could interpret this theory. Well, first of all, the theory is to help you. This Dramatica Theory, just overall, is to help you interpret a particular story in the form of a movie or a book or a TV episode or something. It's not for the whole life of the character beyond whatever, just for this particular thing. However, one of the developers of this theory, the one that had the sex change, thinks more along this line, that in the womb, there are different things that develop, and more often than not, a woman will tend to think holistically, a man will tend to think linearly. And I wondered whether I tend to think holistically and so forth. Whatever, that's okay. It's going off on a tangent. Gone on enough tangents already. So, you see, so it's amazing. This is live, by the way. I don't have to edit it or anything. It's going out there into the world. Aside from North Korea, this is going out into the world. That's what I think is going on, might be going on, where this idea of body dysmorphia might be like the feeling you're in the wrong body might come from like just a happenstance error in the development in the fetal stage before birth, just the fetal development. So, so that's one reason for cross-dressing. Another reason, another motivation, I should say, is gay. And over time, I've seen some evidence to suggest that one, and I'm not trying to be woke, I'm just going by trying to observe and from what, just observe videos and what people say and so forth. Maybe two separate factors. And I don't know where they are in the brain. I would think they would have to be in the brain somewhere. There would be one factor for gender perception, gender self-perception. Like, for example, I see myself as a guy, and I number one, physically, I know I'm a guy because I've gone to the bathroom, and two, it's like that famous question I really appreciate when people have, on both sides, people have asked, like, well, when did you think that you were a guy? Well, like, male, like, all my life. I don't know any other way. And nor will, like, I recognize I'm a guy. And that's part of the acting when I go into my alter ego, dress up for my alter ego. It's fascinating to learn. I'm acting and I'm learning more about, I want to learn. That's one of the initial motivations, actually, wanting to learn what things are perceived like in a woman's shoes. Not that I could literally think like a woman, but I'm understanding, like with Dramatica and so forth, I'm understanding not just what women go through and so forth, but like how they interpret things differently than man and so forth. And you can't deny that there have been thoughts, and it's been spoken about, that men and women think differently on certain things. Their instincts are, in some sense, some ways, are different instinctively, and that's what I was talking about with holistic and linear. So anyway, so there's one aspect, gender self-perception. Another is sexual orientation. So you could have gay, you could have straight. I don't know about bisexual, maybe. Pansexual, that's I don't know. That's further, but I understand gay and straight, clear. Bisexual, probably, possibly. And then self-perception, male or female. Okay, good. So somewhere in the brain, I'm thinking, has to be neurological, because I'm a materialist. Not to say I have spiritual beliefs and so forth, but philosophies and so forth, but I'm a materialist. You can tell my rep by that. So there are those two factors, and they are different. So, all right, so back to these motivations for cross-dressing in the the basket called cross-dressing, the simple act of dressing as the opposite sex. You could have, I feel like I'm in the wrong body. That would be the body dysmorphia reason. You could have gay, that they might be prone, I don't know, I'm not gay myself, but you could have, you like to go along. Maybe the two kind of go together. Maybe they're conditioned to cross-dress. I don't know. But I could see two distinctly separate things. And I've seen a lot of gay people do drag and so forth. And a lot of heterosexual people do drag. So I don't like to call it drag. Drag queen sounds like cartoonish, and I'm not going. I prefer female impersonator because that's different. You're trying to look authentic. So, and that goes along. That ties into what I'm going to say now. So you have those two motivations. So then you get into, so that's one part. Then another part I would call autogynephilia, where you have pleasure, and people take this the wrong way. People get this screwed up, in my opinion. I would define it as, and there's autogynephilia and there's androgynephilia. Autogynephilia, one is woman, the other is man. So autogynephilia auto meaning self, gyna meaning woman, philia meaning love. I would think of it as pleasure. It depends, like euphoria. And there's also autoandrophilia, meaning you're a woman, auto self, andro man, love of. So I'm guessing, in my drawing from my own sense, because I think I have autogynephilia, and it exhibited itself in puberty and before, around the time of puberty, I guess. but it's developed on, it's not just a sexual fetish in my case anyway. It's that I tend to bond. I tend to be fascinated and feel euphoria, kind of curiosity, euphoria, and wanting to bond with this thing that I'm attracted to. So, with mermaids, with women, with even some TV show characters, like Spock, I guess, just to leave sex out of it. With Spock, I'm fascinated by what his culture would be like, and what would it be like? What would it be like in his shoes, and so forth. So, but I haven't, I've gotten quite to putting fake ears on and so forth. But just an example that just came to mind, just first time it ever came to mind. But what would it be like in this person's shoes, and this feeling bonding and wanting to experience it personally? I think that also goes along with my desire to simply be, my curious desire to simply experience, not just understand intellectually, but experience and know what it feels like. I guess I'm very empathetic. I know I'm very empathetic. Emotionally, I've been told I have a high emotional quotient. And so I was going to go into INFP and ENFP, the 16 personality types, but I'm fluctuating. I think I'm fluctuating between those two. Which one I have? Maybe both. Maybe I just jump back and forth between both of them. In some more written like more formal quizzes, I've gotten INFP. I also got ENFP elsewhere, but I think they're similar. Just one is more extroverted version of the other. But anyway, they're high empathy, like high emotional understanding, and so forth. So that's why it irks me when somebody asks me, "Do you think that you're on the spectrum or autistic or something?" And I know I don't want to get political into that, but in terms of my understanding or familiarity with people who have had autism, maybe that autism, there's Asperger's, and I know sciences have developed since then. Our understanding of the spectrum has developed since then. I don't see myself as being as I don't see a match with the people on the spectrum. I don't see a match with people who are, well, maybe shyness, maybe, but then again, I'm very outgoing. Maybe somewhere on some end of the spectrum, somewhere, maybe I am. It's I think almost everybody's really neurodivergent. I think, some sense, just means you're smart and you're proactive, and you're self-deprecating. And I don't think you should really self-deprecate yourself that much. I think you should be given credit. You should recognize your own. You should love yourself. You should give yourself credit for having these interesting hobbies and ideas and interests and so forth. So it's just, I think really it's the sheep that call you weird or different. And proudly you could say you're weird, you're different from the sheep. I hope more people are weird because they're weird by the sheep. More and more percentage of the population. But anyway, I was going somewhere with that. The autogynephilia and so forth, and the androgynephilia. You're right. So the bonding. So this wish to bond. So I feel like euphoria. It's not. I remember at the beginning, and I would go along. I can't remember his name. There was a doctor's name who came up. I think he came up. He made this more mainstream. I can't remember his name. The autogynephilia versus the. He called the other thing. There were two terms, and the other one has since changed names. I know terms, but one of them was autogynephilia, and that seemed to fit me. So I was really happy. Oh wow, that seems to be what I am. So he characterized it. He came up with some common traits of people with autogynephilia, and one of those was at puberty. It has like a sexual component to it, and I think there probably was a sexual component early on during puberty, but later on when I actually started makeup and so forth, and dressing up and actually like, you know, right around now when I got the car and my mom's deceased and so forth, and I really is really trying to develop this character, this alter ego. There wasn't really a sexual fetish to it. It was a curiosity, how, like an illusionist, like stage illusion. There was wanting to understand how it feels, literally in woman's shoes, and how, hopefully, if I can do it well enough, how people perceive you in different ways and so forth. So, anyway, so in the mix of cross-dressing there, which is simply the act, transvesticism, or whatever you call it, it's the act itself. Doesn't imply what motivation is. You have one motivation that I feel I'm in the wrong body. Two, homosexual, you know, gay, basically. And then you have autogynephilia. Now, you have autogynephilia that could be split. You have the motivation. You could have different motivations with autogynephilia. And I mentioned it in terms of female impersonation before. One, you could go very cartoonish and make a caricature. I'm not saying character, caricature of a performance. I don't like that. I feel it's lively, and women, you know, go to drag shows too, and they enjoy them and so forth. I've been to my first, hopefully not my only one, but I've been to those, and you know, women and men both come in. And why can't we go back to that again? There's a zeitgeist against drag shows. It's just ugly. The current, I'll just say the current movement of a whole bunch of people in the current zeitgeist just is screwing up us just being happy about who we are. I'll just leave it at that. Wherever you stand on the political aisle somewhere. Okay, so there's the cartoonish drag queen. Then there's the what I would call recreational dresser, who is just does it privately. And then there's what I would call the female impersonator, and that's more me. That's my motive. Of the three, that's my motivation. And go on YouTube, search for female impersonator. Look up like Marilyn Monroe, male impersonator, Cher impersonator. A lot of these are men that dress up, and some of them are really, really good. And you may understand why I was so fascinated from a stage illusionist magician point of view. So I think I've explained that enough. So as I was developing this, I created this YouTube channel alongside that, and those are my two creative outlets. And so this friend of mine was really impressed. No, sorry, I didn't have this YouTube channel yet. Sorry, I was developing that alter ego, and she was really impressed. And she said, I don't remember the exact words, but she said, "So you're very smart. You have a lot to offer. You have a lot to share with the rest of the world." And she said it as though it's like I must share. It's a tragedy if I don't. A travesty if I don't. Tragedy, I've learned later, is a comedy and tragedy. Travesty is the more apt term. It'd be a travesty, a despair, a reason for despair if my knowledge weren't shared with the rest of the world. And me being creative, I created this YouTube channel. It was first called Introspection with Jeff, and I wanted to talk about my own life, and I got too far into that, like sharing too much. But I wanted genuineness, I wanted sincerity, and that was what I was going for. I didn't want to, thankfully, I didn't start this channel trying to come up with, you know, something making fun of another channel or making fun of a locale or something. I came from, as they call it, a genuine place, and it was also partly therapy for me, although I wouldn't call it like huge therapy, but it was a way of sharing my ideas and my thoughts. And I figured somebody else out there, I hope this is recording. So it won't be lost. I was sharing this, and I figured there would be other people who are perhaps going through the same experiences, and I wanted them to know that they're not alone. And so, sadly, I'll filter myself carefully. So I had later on gotten a chance to talk with this person, this friend again, and it was I wasn't able to ask the friend because I really deeply did want to know what the friend thought about this channel. I wanted to know if the person felt pride in me for having created this channel, because it's a good channel, it's a good reason, so it's a good, healthy channel. So sadly, I didn't get that chance, that opportunity. Maybe I will in the future. But I know that there are other people I know who do see that I am developing, and I'm improving, and I'm progressing mentally, and improving and growing and maturing. And I have a healthy attitude. So more recently, I thought of other things I could also do with this channel. I learned more about YouTube. I lost my job. I'd been laid off. It was in early August, and I think it had something to do with the government shutdown. Ultimately, I didn't know at the time. I wasn't the only one laid off. I was going through a temp agency, and my name was included amongst those that were sent to the temp agency person, saying essentially we need to cut these people off. So I don't know what the thing actually said. I just know that my name was on the list, and it was not for my own performance. The reason was not my own performance. And then later on, of course, government shutdown and rumors, and I think they were just, I think it was approaching government shutdown, and the temp person I was communicating with said the writing was on the wall. She could see the writing was on the wall. So anyway, I feel good about that. I know I was performing well. You never know. You may think you're performing well, and then all of a sudden, you just dumped or something suddenly. I've had that happen too. So I worked on learning about ChatGPT, and I put videos in about that, my experience with that recently, and Google Workplace or Workspace. And I've been learning and learning, and as I've been learning, I've been watching other YouTube videos. I'm not just watching, I could be watching just because it's entertaining, and I would watch anyway, but I'm also looking to see how these content creators set up their channels, and what other links they provide, and how they structure it and everything. So I had been, this is what I call my channel overhaul. So I've talked about my life. I will talk about my life overhaul and my channel overhaul. They both go together. Don't you just love my gestures? My life and channel overhaul. So you know about my writing, my creative writing, the Samantha Bahar female impersonation project, and this YouTube channel are the only two that I see I'm building from this, have been the only creative outlets I have. Keeps me company while I look for jobs. It lets my creative expression out, because creativity, curiosity, all these things that I use in developing this YouTube channel, and in the Samantha Bahar thing, and in my storytelling, my story writing, are truly what I am. And answering a phone to solve some technical issue that some customer has is not really my reason for being, raison d'etre, reason for being, reason of being. That's French. I actually took French. So I have a storytelling, I have a story writing. I like the idea of podcasts. I want to develop this further. And meanwhile, I learned an awful lot from the female impersonation, not just developing the character. I learned more about makeup. I learned about angles. All right, I'm going to get to the third part or the fourth part, whatever it is in this list. And if you can freeze frame this, congratulations. So you can point out what things I skipped out anyway by accident. But anyway, so I've gotten together with a photographer who's happy about, I wanted to go into modeling because I have been told recently that I'm good looking. I never saw myself as good looking. That goes into the self-perception. Because in high school, in elementary school and middle school, it's not like anybody was dating in elementary school. You never know. I was so totally out of it that I felt like late to the game, so much that in Wendy's or something I wouldn't even know. I just know that I got the impression girls wouldn't find me attractive. Okay, I got a warning. Connection is unstable. So please wait while we're reconnecting. Okay, so I guess I'll just continue. If it cuts off, you'll know why. So it's a connection, right? Oh, so it went away. So hopefully I'm still going. Okay, so it's still 1 hour, 40 minutes, almost 41 minutes. Okay, so maybe that's routine. Maybe content creators and kind of that. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. I didn't think girls, they're not technically women yet until they turn 21 or something. I'm not even gonna go with that. Girls didn't find me attractive. And then I don't remember where it was. I remember I was in my studio apartment and I was still trying to find, still online dating, and I was matched up with some, it was like dateme.com or something. It's actually, I think, it was jewishmatchmaker.com or something or other. And I was matched, of course, it was all big city, big. I guess I doxed myself elsewhere, but anyway, for this point, I'll just say big city. It's the same big city, and it's like 4 hours away, 6 hours away, and they don't want a long distance relationship and da. And then this match, we're matched. The website, the matchmaker website, actually matches us, and so I was talking on the phone with her, and she said something really startling, that you seem like a great guy. I don't want a long distance relationship. And I've still kept in touch sort of with this person, sort of. I mean, like on Facebook, she's still a Facebook friend. But that was the first time I really heard from a female, and I'm saying female as in woman, mother, well, my mother, other than my mother. The first time that I heard from someone with XX chromosomes that I was attractive or a nice guy or something like that. So that meant a lot to me. And it wasn't because I was ugly. It wasn't because I had a job where I wasn't paid a lot. It wasn't. I would go to these dating singles things, and they would link up within a few of them will link up, and the rest would, like, men. That's a joke about men. There was at least one experiment. There've been probably a few where a woman would put up a fake profile saying she's a man, and she's going in. Okay, I'm going to get several people asking me out. This is her pretending to be a man with a male picture, and and I'll get some people asking me out. Nobody asks her out. She puts up, profession, dentist, attractive model, photograph. Nobody asks her out. Nobody messages. That's the life of a man, at least my experience. And from what I've heard, the life out in our male community, that's the experience shared by a lot of men. And incels are another thing. That's where you become so downtrodden. There is a portion calling themselves incels, but anyway, I'm not going down that path. So just men in general, just go through that. And actually, come to think of it, this other person, this role model, I'll give her name, Gray Phillips. That's his stage name when she's dressed up as a woman. Remember that one I was talking about where she dressed as a woman because of his higher feminine sounding voice. her stage name is Gray Phillips. Well, where was I going with this? Oh, yes. She was on the Donahue show, and I wish I had the rest of that Donahue episode. On YouTube, you could find the rest of that Donahue episode. But anyway, she would be singing as a guy, and there would be a female singer accompanying her, lead male and female. And dressed up as she. I'll say she. She said in the interview, the episode, well, I would sing, and she thought that she was a better singer than the leading female singer. And then she found that the female singer could just like take something off and the place would go wild. And then she points to, she had sung Whoopi, that song. I hope I don't get it's YouTube. I can't recite all the lyrics, but, Making Whoopi song. I'm making, what the song is, hopefully. So she sang on, this is the real guy dressed up as Gray Phillips, singing on the piano. And she points out that she doesn't think she would not have gotten that kind of audience reaction if she'd just been a man singing. So that experience is common to men. Like women could dress up, and I'm sure it's a lot of work for women to dress up, and I understand that. But you can't say that there are women out there who use, beautiful looks to get attention. I think it's sort of ingrained into the female psyche. There was a song, 1980s song by Stacey Q. I can't think of it. I'm blanking on the name. It's her famous two ones are Two of Hearts. It's the other one. It's Two of Hearts, and the other famous one I'm not thinking of, from the wrong side of town, the other side of town. I'm blanking on the name, but anyway, the title of the song. But anyway, I think that song is very characteristic of the female mind in terms of how the female mind looks toward men, or just in somewhere in life that she experiences. And I wish I could think of the name of the song. Just like in terms of the male mind, in terms of women, he dresses in black. He has like characteristically dresses in black. He has black hair, and he sings in a low voice. I'm not thinking of his name at the moment, but Pretty Woman, the one who sings "Oh Pretty Woman, Come By and Talk to Me." Oh Pretty Woman, the song. Anyway, I think that's very much in the male psyche in terms of women. That to understand a man better, if you can understand that song, you would understand something about men. That he's singing, please. And it's been a long time since I've read through all the lyrics, but the gist of it is, I'm just standing here by a corner. I'm just standing over here alone. Roy Orbison, that's it, Roy Orbison. I'm just standing here lonely. Just please, it's in my fantasy. Just come over here, pretty woman, talk to me. I don't know if I'll have anybody, any woman talk to me, but I'm just fantasizing right now that some pretty woman will just come over, approach me, and talk to me. And so in a similar vein, there's Stacey Q's song, which I'm blanking on at the moment. It's the one that she sings in the second. If you're familiar with Facts of Life, she made 2 appearances of Facts of Life. It's the second episode that she appeared in. The song that she sings at the end of that episode, that's the episode I'm thinking of, not Two of Hearts. It's the other one. It's the one that she sang on the late night talk show. You can find on YouTube that clip with Joan Rivers, where it's like the Tonight Show, only it's Joan Rivers hosting. It's that song. Anyway, okay. So I've given you enough clues. I'm guessing that from what I understand from what women have said, I'm guessing that that's what goes on in the psyche of women towards men. Like, look at me, and I don't want to sound sexist. I really don't want to sound sexist and misogynistic, but um, something about look at me and notice me, and um, I want you to get to know me and so forth. So, which is, I guess, healthy. Everybody feels like that. So it's one of those things. It's probably written up in some social book on sociology somewhere, or how men are from Mars, women are from Venus, or something. So, um, so anyway, I developed this alter ego, and I forget where I was at the moment. So I'm writing. Oh, I'm writing screenplays, and I'm working on this stuff, and I'm learning about how this female impersonation helped me to learn about these other things. So not only posing, I've got a photographer. I got a professional photographer who is interested in doing this. So modeling, right. So modeling. So I didn't have. I thought I was unattractive to the female sex. So then I got a girlfriend, and she said, "Oh, you're really." I mean, she would mention over and over how sexy and attractive I look, and that was I didn't know what to say. I'm speechless every time she says that, and so I thought maybe I am attracted. And then I put it on. I posted on Facebook. I think probably Facebook. Like, does anybody think I'm attractive? And I've gotten messages back, oh, absolutely, or certainly, or even, everybody's attractive in their own way, or da 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 da. But there were enough there were a few, but enough of them, sufficient portion of them saying yes, that I thought maybe I am attractive. And I remember my mom saying, you're really attractive to the opposite sex. And I recognized she meant physically, but I also have these other traits too, and it's been a shame, and it's been very sad, giving my whole life story in some sense. In some sense, your life story isn't individual experiences you had; it's your overall, like an encapsulation of your persona, and what have these experiences conditioned you to be. And I'm giving you my snapshot of what my experiences have conditioned me into being. So I figured, yes, I guess maybe I am attractive, but no woman has come up and asked me out, and they tend to shy away or whatever, or just go away from me when I was in high school. And I have a lot to offer, and I'm smart and so forth. They don't ask me, or don't seem to show any interest in me, dating me. So maybe it's because that I was interested in dating Jewish women, because I want a Jewish life, and Judaism means a lot to me, maybe, or they were already married or dating or something. But for whatever reason, I wasn't asked out ever. So that was empty part of my life. So for a long time. So all right. So now I thought about getting going into modeling maybe, and putting it to good use, maybe, at least trying, at least asking, trying. So exploring. So I met up with a model for free. I met up with a model, an agent, model agent. I don't know how big she is, at least in the local area. There's slim pickings in the local area. And so I went to the mall, and for free, I got to sit around, and I got to watch her take photos. I was there she was there to meet with a model client of hers and take some photos. And I had already reached out to her, and she said basically, oh, if you want to come, meet up with me and this other person at the mall at this time. And so I went, and I had a good experience, and I didn't think that I would get anything out of it. Fortunately, she sent me some digital photos of what she had taken. And so I still have those photos. That's where you may have seen me smiling. I'm wearing I'm a guy. I don't, to me, it's like green, light green, dark green, whatever. I was wearing a brown, not a brown, a red, sort of a burnt red kind of shirt, button shirt. It's basically like this, only it's not green. It's burnt. It's kind of burnt red. That picture came from that. You see me smiling sometimes with my hair a little messed up. That was her idea for contrast or variety, I guess I would say variety. Plaid, red and white plaid shirt. Those photos were from that photo shoot too. So I got the photos. I got a little experience, slightly little, a little bit of experience. I'm thankful for whatever experience I get and understanding exposure, basic exposure to how these things work, sort of. And so I've been trying. So anyway, I connected with the offspring of a friend of mine, and she's open. Offspring. I probably said she before, so I might as well daughter of a friend of mine. So she's interested. She's okay with Samantha, and she's okay with me. And I mean, taking photos of either. So we figure both taking photos, some of me as my male form, and some me dressed up as Samantha. So that could be used for publicity photos. It would be good photos, good to use anyway. And that goes in with YouTube because, of course, it's all about images, and I could use them for screen captures or something. And thumbnails, I meant thumbnails really, or cover albums or something like. So I said before about singing, and it's been a creative outlet. This is another thing. I want to make this very clear about the songs. I don't want anybody to think that I'm going to make fun of women dressed up as Samantha. I'm doing my best. It's female impersonation, trying to do it like Gray Phillips, authentically. And so I came up with this music based on my real life experiences. And I would do it even if I were a guy. I would come up with draw from your real life. I mean, Taylor Swift does it. So you draw from your own personal experiences. So she famously does it. So why don't I sing those songs as a guy? Oh, first of all, that led me to learning all sorts of things about music. And of course, probably my mom, who's deceased now, would probably appreciate me finally learning, appreciating, well, I appreciated music because I grew up in the 1980s, but I was 10 when when 1990 rolled around. I was an adolescent, so I was able to experience the 1980s pretty well. Be conscious enough in my childhood to experience the 1980s. So she enjoyed music. She grew up with music basically. And so it's a good way of expressing oneself. So why don't I just draw from my own experience and compose music as my real self? Well, I am my real self. I'm expressing my real self, but the music, maybe this is just my perception between men and women. I've done a little bit of research on this, like online, like just keyword searching, like asking Google. Typically between men and women, what does male music tend to be like, and what does female music tend to be? Maybe my experience has been skewed, but my music just naturally, the stuff that I want to sing about is very introspective. And I want to sing about past relationships, instinctively, without giving out anybody's name or anything in particulars or anything. I wanted to sing about relationships because if I'm going to do this as a woman, relationships like romance and so forth, that tends to happen. So again, I'm not trying to be sexist. I'm not trying to be misogynistic. Just women just tend to have a lot of songs about experiences, relationship experiences. So I haven't had that many, sadly, but I could draw from a certain person in my past. So, and I don't want to dox the person. So, um, one thing is that I can be honest and I won't give specifics, and I can change a gender, be me being a woman, and make the male equivalent of this other person. And some songs relate to that, and my mom's death, and is she looking over me? Is she watching over me? Singing about spiritual, like my Judaism, um, singing about feeling different. Um, I also thought of doing a music video where I'm dressed as a mermaid. I don't know how, I don't know, maybe with CGI or something, but it would be mermaid themed. This song, the music video would be mermaid, and the song itself would be mermaid themed. Maybe I'm just fantasizing beyond the scope of what I'm physically capable of, but and childhood memories, and going through the shopping mall, and being with your best friend. And I could see female singers. I can imagine female singers singing about this. And excuse me, I'm fighting a sneeze at the moment, but I think it'll go away. So TMI, too much information. I don't see men singing like this. Not only singing like this, like expressing it. And I don't want to sound like women are touchy feely, but essentially, I think women just tend to come across in their music as more vulnerable and as more expressive of their feelings. And I think men characteristically tend to hide, like shield them or shelter them or something or other. They're not, in this maturity level, they're not quite up there. I could be completely wrong. There could be many male singers. I just enjoy performing. I want some avenue for dressing up. And I don't do this in my normal life, just like Gray Phillips doesn't do this in her normal life. And there's a great Geraldo episode. I don't remember it has celebrity impersonators on there. And I wish I could point you to, maybe in the editing, in the after, the replay of this, maybe when I put this in a playlist and I can edit this, I'll put in a link to that. But it's Geraldo, it's female impersonators. And it's the one where you see, they're both men, but you see a Marilyn Monroe impersonator sitting, and then the next one is a Madonna impersonator sitting down. And I'll just give you a little hint. Like, I have time. They're amazed when I'll say she, because it really does look like a she, Hispanic. I say that just to distinguish her. So if you see the clip, you see the video, you'll know you found the right one. So they're sitting next to each other. But Marilyn Monroe, I'll just say Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe has sat down, the impersonator has sat down. And then the Madonna impersonator comes in with the Vogue. Well, the song is Vogue, and she's wearing the cone tip bra and leggings, and like, how do I put this delicately? Basically, the female anatomy, flat, just plain flat, just comes in flat, and the butt and the shape, the female shape. And she goes and she sits down, and then the Marilyn Monroe impersonator, she turns her head, and Marilyn Monroe impersonator puts the microphone on, and then she's speaking. She says she speaks a little bit of English. Fortunately, Geraldo speaks Spanish, so he asked he asked the impersonator some questions and so forth. And then at some point, Geraldo, I really wish we could go back to times like that. I really wish. I think we were healthier. I mean, sure, I guess gays were, and I don't mean that derogatory. You better be careful in this time and age. Be careful of what labels you use. But I'll just say gays. I don't think that's really defamatory. But all right, gays were getting hit, brunt hit, more so than they now are, being gay, and really horrible, horrific stuff. And I won't go further than that, but they were, it seems easier from my point of view. It seems easier now, and they're more they. I don't mean they like there is a separate category, but I mean just people in that condition feel more. I think society has accepted them more. I'll just say society has accepted them more now. Um, Sadly, in that Geraldo episode, I'm just thinking it. They knew that they were men. They were dressing up as women, and they were having fun. Why can't we go back to that? It became so political only a few years ago. It became really political, and people like throwing the whole, like categorizing the whole group. Anybody who cross dresses or whatever is you have to be a certain political stripe, and you have to be a certain this, and you're doing it for this specific reason. You're doing it for that reason, and you have to join, this group, and you can't be in that group. It's like cliques in high school. It's ugly. Excuse me. Why can't we go back to that time on Geraldo where they had fun? So anyway, Geraldo at one point asked everybody was thinking this anyway, asked the male Madonna impersonator to stand up. So male impersonator stands up, and he goes, see, I'm smiling. He goes to some stage, like camera person or something, and he asks, just points the microphone. So where do you think it is? So, and the camera person, whoever the stagehand says, on his dressing room. I don't know, in his dressing room or something. That was really fun. It was, why can't we go back to that lively, healthy attitude about things? If only we could just improve the unhealthy aspects of our society and maintain the healthy aspects, we'd be in a utopia. Which, by the way, is a Greek term, comes from utopos, which means meaning, I think, none, and topos meaning world. It's basically no world, nothing. It doesn't really exist. But anyway, so that's what I'm going for, and it's again, it's that illusion. Somebody putting forth a lot of effort and grooming and so forth. And I've seen really good entertainers, like female impersonators on I can't remember the name of the show, but they're dancing, they're flipping. A lot of them lip sync, but some sing what they call sing live, meaning they use their own voice. And there was another Marilyn Monroe impersonator who was a guy who retired dressing up as Marilyn Monroe at the age he was when the real Marilyn Monroe became just unalive, out of respect, because he didn't want to continue dressing as an older Marilyn Monroe. So he was really good, and somewhat believable. I mean, he would sing live, like use his own voice. And that's, when I say female impersonator, that's what I'm going for. That's what I want to do. And it's like really an art form. And I hope nobody's offended. It's really an art form in and of itself. I mean, in this other talk shows I found on YouTube, there were these three people were being interviewed, and this is from the 1980s. It was in Chicago, I remember, if I remember correctly. The studio was in Chicago. It wasn't Donahue. It wasn't a big name thing. It was a small kind of homegrown studio show. It wasn't Oprah. So each one came out and performed. That you saw them in the male form, and they were interviewed, and then they took a commercial break, and then they went back, and then one by one, these entertainers would come in, and they would each do a show. And one was in high heels. Like, this is more than maybe some women, the actual women would do as entertainers, like doing a flip in heels, dancing around while, I think, lip syncing. Maybe the person was the one actually singing, but in other words, flat, like, tucking, tucked. If you don't know what tucked is, look it up. But tucked, and if you're under a certain age, please don't look that up. I guess I shouldn't have said that, but my comedy is coming out. This is the way I normally am. But just real sense of visual color and performance and stage presentation and I think, respect towards women. It's only in these recent years that you get, you can't, it's become ugly in this modern zeitgeist. You can't tell one from the other, and people get mixed up ideas about, and they jump to conclusions, and it's just, that's one of the problems we have about society in general. People jump to conclusions too much, and they snap judgments, and they don't think, and Dunning-Kruger effect and all that. So what have I, so anyway, so I've been benefiting. So the music, I came up with about 22 songs. It doesn't actually, now each album, I want to recreate the 1980s. I want to go retro 1980s stylistically. So that would be my music. It would be 1980s like synth and pop music and so forth. And it would, like, I like to think of, like, I've been saying it like Belinda Carlisle and the Go-Go's, and well, not the Go-Go, Belinda Carlisle, and just, the Go-Go's just naturally come after Belinda Carlisle, and just female singers. That's the look that I want to have, and that's the persona and so forth I want to have, portray. So, and I use the word portray anyway. So, can you tell I'm nervous about people getting the wrong impression? Anyway, so I want to create CDs. I also acknowledge I'm in the modern age, and there's streaming and so forth. And so I found the company that I want to use to produce the CDs for those who want to buy CDs. I also identified the best music distributor. I don't know if I should, I'll just leave it out. But, there's a music distribution company that you upload the music there, and then they distribute to several different, not podcasts, but different places where you can listen to the music and buy the music and so forth. So I'm aware of that. There's digital streaming and so forth. But I'm to retain that 1980s retro look. I don't remember. I told you before, when movies come out, sometimes they don't capture the original essence of what made the original so good. That's a good example now. I don't want to just copy what happened in the 1980s. I want to do it intelligently. I want to recreate the spirit of the 1980s in the albums and the music, and how the album looks and so forth. So I know typically albums have like 11 tracks. So same thing as songs, 11 songs on the album. So I came up with 22 songs. Originally, I had some other thing. I kept reworking and retaining the strong ones I really wanted to sing. I have this 22 list now, list of 22 now, and that doesn't necessarily split into 2 albums of 11 each, because it would depend on how they flow, how the album flows. Maybe most of them will end up on one album, and only some will end up on another, and I'll have to come up with other songs. So it doesn't evenly divide. I don't expect it to evenly divide into 2 albums, but I have 22 songs in a list and ideas for songs, and I'm going to develop. I learned about how to create a hook, very strong hook, because in the 1980s, that was important, a strong hook. And then learning how to create a pivot hook so that you can, what's called a progression, a chord progression. So you have like one chord progression, at least one chord progression for the hook, the chorus, the recognizable, like material world and I am a material girl, that part, that would be the hook. And then learn how to pivot that and create chord progressions for the other parts of the song, so that the two kind of blend together and they're not really jarring, or, do it intelligently. So I know I keep wiping this. There's this hair that keeps dangling like that. I can do it like Superman, make it S. But anyway, so anyway, then I thought I want to make another themed album of Halloween, because I love Halloween so much, and they're just visually and performance-wise, you could do a whole lot with Halloween. I want to make it different, not just Monster Mash or like hokey, like I Love Candy or something. I really want to create what I think Halloween is like, and use those creatures that are endemic, that's the right proper word, in Halloween, use them as an example of what to really speak about, the underlying themes. There's a Halloween album and there's the Judaism album. So I've got like 22 songs and two other themed albums in mind, and those have about 10 songs. I'm up to like 5 or 10 songs each on those two albums, and I'll get them to 22 hopefully. And I know maybe starting off, maybe do EPs, extended plays, like a few songs on one album, just as a small album. Music enthusiasts probably know what I'm talking about already. I don't have to explain it, but basically maybe come up with one song or a few songs just to get started. I expect that. I'd already been jumping ahead and thinking of all these, like, make this exhaustive list of all these songs I want to sing. And I really want to develop this into something substantial. First of all, develop, just like Paul Rubens did with Pee Wee Herman and Cassandra Peterson did with Elvira, make Samantha Bahar somebody realistic, like her own separate like persona, and do it like that, and not say I'm a drag, like, because Gray Phillips doesn't do that. Of course, I'm not outing her. She's come out since then and been open with what she does, but especially early on, what she did earlier on, I want to just do it as a performance, like visually fooling, like just straight, excuse the term straight, but like straightforwardly, genuinely just do it, and so forth. And you might have guessed already that Halloween is one of my favorite, well, actually my favorite holiday. Passover is my favorite Jewish holiday. So the others don't even, other holidays, just in general, the other holidays, maybe Purim, because it involves dressing up, but just Halloween, just right up there. Because it's not just the dressing up, it's the folklore and the mythology. And I loved Castlevania as a child, growing up playing Nintendo. We could go on and on that way. So I figured out these different aspects. And it was really fun to develop, learn and develop how I would create a company. I would create a holding company, and then I would branch off, and I'd have publishing, because I want to write books. And I already have an Amazon store, a bookshelf, or whatever they call it. You can type up my name and find it. And I've started to include links to that in these videos. It's part of my my whole overhaul of this channel. The company name, it's as if the production company itself is Visionary Ventures. Oh, well, all right. All right, so let me go back. So the holding company would be, I would have a holding company, and then splitting off, I would have publishing, and I would have TV and film, and I would have music. And I organized that. And then more recently, I found, okay, what would be the podcasts? I want to split this up because it's going to be so disjointed. Talking, like having a Samantha thing where I'm dressing up and I'm sharing my journey, developing my look as Samantha, and that's jarring with doing a documentary about UFOs and it's going to seem odd. So Visionary Ventures will be the channel. And then I'm going to split off into several different podcasts. And I've created those podcasts. One will be the journey of Samantha Bahar. Again, that's female impersonation. Plus, I created a separate channel. I transferred the videos off that channel. I copied them into this channel because I want that channel, Samantha Bahar YouTube channel, to be strictly for professional performance. That's the way I originally intended it. And then I started putting on a journey of my, trying this makeup and my looks improving. And I don't want that on there. I want to keep that just for music videos and so forth. And I connected with somebody who runs an actor studio here locally. And he's okay with me. I told him, and he's impressed with both. So I'm fighting to check what you may have heard that being in the background, that phone. So hopefully this will develop, the Samantha part will develop in terms of acting, and maybe my own self as an actor will develop in my script writing. And then that ties in with him running the actor studio and YouTube channel. So I've got the Samantha Bahar journey as a podcast here. And I plan to put TV and film. That will be a demonstration of, I may come on live. You may see my face there on that podcast, but I'm going to use it for visuals. I'm going to create like TV concept pitches and so forth. But I don't want to give away too much. I'm wary of giving away too much and somebody else stealing my idea. So I don't know how to handle that, how to work with that best and safely. So I've just got to check. Is somebody signaling that they're watching me and I didn't do something particular? And oh, no, yeah, nobody's watching me. So they're just, somebody says happy Halloween or whatever. So, all right. So there are those channels. And then the documentary channel, I want for exploration of the unknown. I enjoyed Unsolved Mysteries, and I enjoyed the Sightings, the TV show on Fox, and I enjoyed In Search Of, hosted by Leonard Nimoy. I don't care so much for the recent attempts at it. I like the original one with Leonard, the classic one with Leonard Nimoy, In Search Of. I want to do documentaries about UFOs, and not just, because you could watch a ton of videos on YouTube about regurgitating the same stuff about Betty and Barney Hill and this famous case and UFOs and so forth. And my girlfriend signaled me and she put in question marks, and apparently she's not watching here, although I know she's subscribed, but she's not watching here. So I'll just have to tell her that you should have been watching live. Anyway, so, but she'll still, jokes aside. All right, fine. Get on with it. Get on with it. It was my attempt at, I think, I'm blanking on the Monty Python. Get on with it. All right, so I don't want to do just another YouTube video about UFOs, just flying saucers and making fun and speculating. No, I want to do an actual documentary explaining alternative explanations for UFO sightings, like Betty and Barney Hill. Explore, it could have been a light. What I think of, what I suspect is that they were seeing a beacon on a mountain, near a mountain, and then that got mixed up with what she may have seen on TV, and then the exposure, and then hypnosis, and over time that formulated. And I have speculation on what Kenneth Arnold, the one who had been in the businessman who had been in the plane, who saw kind of like the first modern UFO sighting, had the first modern UFO sighting, what that may have been. And I want to explore further, and I want to explore other ideas. So that would be different from, so you've got the Samantha Bahar journey. You've got, boy, my throat is sore. Samantha Bahar journey. And then you've got the documentary thing. And then you've got the writing and film idea pitches and development. And then you've got my personal blog, which would be what this will be. These live streams will go on afterwards, be saved and stored as the personal blog on that playlist or that podcast. Then, and also I want to continue making sure that these podcasts can be distributed, not just to YouTube. Don't tell YouTube this, but don't tell YouTube this, but spread it around so that other places can hear this anyway. Maybe, if I legally can. So, then a friend of mine who I enjoyed Transformers, and this friend enjoyed Transformers, and I came up with he came up with an idea. Why don't we do a podcast or radio thing or something? He didn't say necessarily radio thing, just get together, record these discussions. And I'm thinking creatively. I'm already thinking on the next level, the next step. I already have this website, YouTube channel, and I can create it as another podcast. So with this multi-podcast format under Visionary Ventures, it's a channel kind of like Fox Network or something. I can be able to do that. So, boy, I'm thirsty. I'm not thirsty so much as my throat is becoming a little sore. So I've been talking for 2.5 hours almost. So let me see. So in addition to that, I knew there was something else. YouTube also offers what they call courses. You can add courses. You can add essentially a playlist for learning a certain topic. So I created three. I didn't create the courses yet, but I have in mind to create the courses. One will be on Star Trek and other affiliated sci-fi concepts, maybe, because I do have a lot to talk about in terms of Star Trek. And it is educational in that you would learn about Star Trek and maybe science fiction concepts and science fact concepts. And two, another one would be about Dramatica. I posted some videos on here. At that time, they didn't have a course playlist an educational playlist. So now I get to do videos that won't be broken up. I can just teach it as a course. I'll have a segmented sequence of videos in a course about learning the Dramatica Theory. And so that's another one. And a third one is the Bible. And when I say the Bible, I mean primarily the Torah and my own theories, my own understanding. It's not just teaching the good word or something. I'm Jewish. I want to explain how Hebrew works. I want to explain how a chiasmus works. A chiasmus is a poetic structure. I want to get into the actual structure of the Torah that you wouldn't see from a linear English translation, the actual Hebrew itself, the actual structure. And I want to understand, I don't want to do that, Jester, because people may use it for evil purposes, but I want to get into the mind of whoever wrote the Torah, specifically the Torah, because my perception, my impression is that, my suspicion is that it was written by humans using probably the library of text from the Library of Alexandria. And what specific text did they use? Why did they structure this certain ways? What do the numbers mean? Why are these ages, the descendants of Adam, living for precisely these years? Why are these ages chosen? And why is it written this way, and so forth? All those things. I want to know why the Torah was written. I want to know where the Torah was written. I want to know how the Torah was, in other words, the structure, how the Torah was written. I guess that goes along with what the Torah is. That's kind of self-explanatory. Who wrote it, why, where, how, and with what, basically. So I want to create a course about that. And there are a few other researchers who have explored that, but I want to fit it all together, right? The Torah is one written piece, and I don't subscribe to the popular documentary hypothesis, which I think and I hope is losing ground, losing followers. And I can go on about explain why I lost faith, that's a stupid word. Lost suspicion. I no longer follow the documentary hypothesis. I think humans wrote this. One or several authors wrote it as a 5-book, 1-volume set. I don't think it was written over a long span of time or stories stitched together. I think it was written precisely and as one form, and I'll explain why. and I'm drawing from other researchers. Russell Gamirkin, who died unfortunately recently, and who's the other? Moshe Klein. I think I've seen his name as Mel Klein. That's where I've gotten this suspicion about the structure of the Torah. And there's this other person who studied Kabbalah to some degree, and I think he was a mathematician. I think Mel, if I remember correct, Mel Klein, I think, was the mathematician. Anyway, good credentials behind them. But this author, blanking on the name, Stan Tenen, was more of a code breaker and went about it that way. And it'd be interesting if that fits in somehow, because he wrote a book called The Alphabet That Changed the World. It's about the Hebrew language, specifically about the Torah, and about Genesis, specifically about Genesis and the first line of Genesis. And he found, it's not just a skip pattern he found. I mean, he found like geometric patterns. There's a whole substance there that Kabbalah, he argues, Kabbalistic texts were referring back to in a hidden way, and sometimes kind of more direct way. And I also want to explain Kabbalah, and I also want to explore and learn myself each time I do this. I want to explore the origins of Kabbalah and where these notions that are in modern Kabbalah came from. I know most of them, I'm probably talking way over the heads of a lot of people, but consider this an educational moment. You can look it up later. Modern Kabbalah largely took it from, better have names. If you ever do a YouTube video like this, a live video stream like this, come up, write down the names that you think you may be referring back to. What's his name? Isaac Luria. Isaac Luria's version of Kabbalah is, I would venture to say, the primary version of Kabbalah people study now. But that's not to say that he himself would probably say what he was teaching was built on earlier things. The question is, how far back does what he was explaining go back? Like, at what point was a new idea introduced or a new interpretation introduced, and how far back? Because Kabbalah, the folklore Kabbalah claim is that it goes all the way back to Adam and the creation of the world and so forth. So the knowledge has been passed down. I don't believe that. I believe that, first of all, it seems very different in certain ways, major ways, from the structure of the Torah. And I'm going by Mel Klein in terms of the structure of the Torah. The two seem to be at odds. And I created a video recently about this. I think it's called Yud He Vav He versus Kabbalah, I think. But anyway, or Elohim versus, you'd be able to see it. It's the one, this versus that, this name versus that name. That's the video. So I want to explore where these different elements of what we now recognize as basic Kabbalah come from. How far back does Kabbalah truly go? Does it only go back to the 1400s, the 1200s, something like that? Or does it go further back or whatever? So I think I've covered a lot of what I wanted to say. I wanted to end with this link I created. I created a Buy Me a Coffee because I'm desperate for funds and I'm not working right now. And so I created a separate bank account to only work with this Buy Me a Coffee account. And I really want to I'm using ChatGPT to create summaries and create better titles, increase my visibility on YouTube. I want to see those numbers. Come on, help me lift those numbers up. I want to see more subscribers. Not to say that I don't appreciate very much the subscribing. I feel I treasure the subscribers I do have. I want to see numbers. I want to gain more visibility because, like that friend said, I think I have a lot to share with the world, and it would be a travesty if it wasn't shared with the rest of weren't shared with the rest of the world. So I'm using ChatGPT to learn about ways to create like a template for each video I create, like the title, a better, more searchable title or eye-catching title. You adding in thumbnails now generated by ChatGPT, and a summary and hashtag keywords to make them searchable, and a chapter marker list, and more systematic and routine, so that each video will have all that information in it. And using ChatGPT to explore other ways, and just using my mind and to find other ways of doing it. So I have this Buy Me a Coffee, and you can go to buymeacoffee.com / or / however, the .com / Visionary Ventures. And you should see my page. I list what items I want. I specifically, foremost, I want and the two go hand in hand, like I want a microphone and a microphone stand. So whatever equipment I get that helps me here will also help me in the Samantha Bahar channel, and just like my Samantha Bahar career, in whatever form it can take. I want to develop music. I want to sing. So it's the microphone with the stand. Editing equipment would be nice. Forgive me for that. It's out of my power. Editing. Let me see. The microphone, the stand, vocal lessons, some various things, miscellaneous things to improve my look as Samantha, and editing software, and possibly subscription-related things to improve this channel and the Samantha Bahar channel in terms of visibility. There are very specific things. It's not just a cash grab. It puts money in my pocket. So did I skip out anything? Primarily, the photographer, hiring the photographer, which she gave a good rate. And a recording producer. I hooked up with a recording producer who is open, who's okay. I mean, she's a regular recording producer, recording and mastering tracks and so forth. She's worked with other drag artists. She's open to the idea. I just don't have the money right now. So the Buy Me a Coffee would help. A camera, because I've noticed that content creators, more professional content creators, don't do what I'm doing, probably, in that I'm looking at my iMac camera and it's distracting. I've noticed that they tend to be doing something with their computer off to the side. So, and I bought this teleprompter, but it's awkward, and I don't know if I can even use it in terms of it fitting with I don't have an iPad to fit next to it to get it to work well. So, and I think my iPhone doesn't work well. It's not compatible really with it. So primarily, whether I use that one or use another one, teleprompter would be nice, but primarily a camera, a good camera, and above all, a microphone, because I want you to be able to hear me, and I'm feeling that I won't be heard. I'm not being heard that well. I also have a ring light. I do have that. I have to set up my apartment better. So these are legitimate expenses that I hope, with Buy Me a Coffee, will be able to provide for me, and improve as they say, improve the look of the channel, the quality of the channel. So I've been talking for quite a while. It's my first time. How do you like me so far? How do you like it so far? And I have really talked about all I want here. So I'm going to end it for right now. I'm going to save this to my personal blog. Also, if you come up with ideas that you think would help this channel, and be constructive, don't just say, get better lighting. But just, your sound is low, that's okay. I mean, or reorient it this way, or I'd like to see more videos about this, or just some suggestion for improvement. I'd be certainly very open towards. And just watch me, enjoy me. I hope you go follow me on this journey to develop my studio. I'm looking at the word YouTube studio there. Follow me, make this channel better, and the other one better too. This is a practice so that when I create the professional music videos and so forth as Samantha Bahar on my other channel, it'll look top notch because of all the experience I built up here. And of course, as I said before, the microphone will go into that. I'll be able to sing into the microphone, send that to and pay the recording producer to be able to create, the CDs, and just everything costs money. So on the vocal training and so forth, it costs money. So anyway, I'm also looking, I sent in terms of my books and so forth, my publishing, I have like 3 books in mind. I'm going to try again. I tried with a Transformers book before. I don't want to get into details and so forth. I do have some text on my Amazon thing, and I used Kindle Desktop Publishing, KDP, in league with getting them available on Amazon. But I haven't received a response yet about the one literary agent. But I look carefully to see in terms of genre, in terms of what I want to produce, what I need to produce and so forth. I'm also looking into grants. Earlier this week, I looked into grants and fellowships, and I found some, unfortunately, the deadlines have passed, but at least I have an idea for what to go for both the Samantha channel and this YouTube channel and my writing. It's a melange. Well, not a melange, poor choice of words. It's all a nexus. I like to use the word nexus. It's a nexus. One impacts on the other, and hopefully all will lift me up. So anyway, look for me on Amazon. I'll add the links to some basic links, my Amazon bookshelf, my author page, and then my buy me a coffee link, and possibly other links, social media. I guess I should create a separate social media. I don't see the reason now, but create a separate social media. No, create a separate Facebook and separate Instagram and separate page for this channel. Not just going on my own channel, publishing private stuff, because I need to keep those separate. So anyway, I wish you good luck, and tomorrow's Halloween. I don't know when you'll be watching it, but I'll be dressed up en femme as a witch. So, and I'll be going to a party, and this time I get to improve my look show off my look even more. And I've gotten some compliments before, like, especially with photos I've posted, like they couldn't even tell it was a woman sometimes. And I'm not bragging, but it's just, and I'm not saying it's great or whatever. And I'm not saying that other people might not have noticed I'm really man dressed up or whatever, but my goal is to get more people to not recognize that I'm a man dressed up. So that's the end goal, basically, and do a performance authentically, and the singing and so forth, and express myself in some form. Also my writing and my books, and who knows what. So anyway, hope you have a good Halloween, or hope you have a good day, and I'll speak with you soon. Oh, and also I'll need a good opening and closing slogan, like have a good day, or like Paul Harvey would say, good day at the end. Like that was his characteristic thing that people recognize with him. Or the rest, he would say, the rest now is the rest of the story. Or something. I need some routine slogan to introduce my video and to close my video. So like, especially the personal blog, and come up with better names for these podcasts. So anyway, all right, I'm headed off. Have a good day wherever you are.